Hello everyone, and happy Pride Month! I am Sam, and welcome to year 4 of Willowclan. If anybody wants to know, I'm fine. Everything's fine. We totally didn't lose multiple cats, and I'm definitely not convinced that's because the game was so kind to us for the first 3 years. So we went over my personal clan size limit, and I had to manually kill some cats, so I don't suffer drawing the lineup. I decided to use Neogo Arts' Harsh Winter generator for this, since I didn't really have a plan to randomly select cats to kill. I'll link the generator in the description. With all that said, let's get into our newest StarClan cats, and guys, I am so sorry. Because Tremble Beak was the first cat to die this year, and she was the only death to occur naturally without me having to run the generator. She died pretty early, so there isn't much to say, but after bringing Branch Patch home, she waited impatiently for him to wake up and explain why he up and ran out on her. She had to explain to her sons who he is, and she wasn't surprised when, out of the two of them, Honeystem was interested in getting to know his father. She helped out the Herbalists in the infirmary, and while doing so, she kept checking in. When Branch Patch finally woke up, she confronted him and listened while he explained himself. He never meant to leave. According to him, he had left their temporary den to hunt for her and was taken by Two Legs, only recently able to escape when a fire was set to the home he was in. Tremble Beak, though hesitantly, forgave him, and she said she didn't want to try the relationship again, so there was a mutual agreement between them and she introduced Branch Patch to his kits. Tremble Beak was so happy seeing her sons meet their father. The next moon, Tremble Beak found and chased off a rogue, but was badly injured and was sent to the infirmary where, despite every effort, infection set in, and Tremble Beak died at 108 moons in her sleep next to her former mate. I'm so devastated, guys, you don't even know. Things were at a high point for Tremble Beak and her family, only for her to die 3 moons later. It was quite a roller coaster of emotions for me. Rest in peace, my torty girl. Next up is, unfortunately, Drizzlegale. He was the first of the Leaf Bear casualties, and he died as he lived, helping and being kind to others. He died at 78 moons old when he and Dubstar were trapped in a snowstorm, and he took the brunt of it, shielding the leader from the cold winds. Before his death, he was doing his best in clan life. Kinda. He tried to sneak in eating prey while hunting, but he was caught by Pigeon Peak, who then told Batspots, who then had Drizzlegale dig out a new dirt place trench. He was the subject of ridicule that day, and he chose not to eat the next morning to make up for it. Things started turning up for him when later on, he was on a patrol with Dusk, insert suffix, was trapped under branches. Drizzlegale comforted the young warrior while he was freed, despite Dusk's previous treatment of him. Later on, he helped the Herbalists gather herbs, and his patrol warned Willowclan of a badger set in their territory. He still had his clumsy moments when he slipped on his side in the wet marshland and his patrol reacted in bewilderment. It was kinda funny. While patrolling alone, he also found and chased off a small dog, later reporting it to Batspots. His year may have started on the wrong note, but he definitely was making strides, which is why his death hurts so much. At least in StarClan, he's chosen to take care of the kits there, one of which is the 2-moon-old Heather kit. Heather kit was a loner kit who was brought into Willowclan alongside her 2 brothers when they were found orphaned by Pranceclaw and Bleaksmoke. She was quiet and quick to make peace, often calming down squabbles between her brothers. She died when she snuck out of camp one night before a blizzard, being found in the morning. She died so young, and this never ceases to make me feel pain. I know I chose to use that generator, but I'm gonna throw it into a pit. Her warrior name also would have been Heather Flash. Moving on. Unfortunately, 2 kits from the second Frost Log litter have also died this year. Both from the same thing, rogues. First off, both Bepaw and Midnightpaw had received their warrior names, Beeshade and Midnight Swoop, at 13 moons old, being honored for their determination and understanding respectively. Beeshade had grown to become an eloquent speaker and a good fighter, which is kind of funny since the reason his warrior ceremony was delayed was because he sprained his paw on a hole at the beginning of the year. After it healed, he fiercely helped chase off another small dog with Honeystem and his apprentice, while Tremble Beak was in the infirmary. And he was also devastated when Tremble Beak died just before he became a warrior. He can only hope she was proud of him. Midnight Swoop had grown to become a beloved kid sitter, and she went on to continue being supportive to her family and being the best warrior she can be, even supporting her brother when he had a new idea for hunting. She did get heatstroke during Greenleaf and had to stay in the infirmary for a while, but she came back rather quickly. Later that year, B-Shade started meeting up with a rogue in secret. I'm not sure who they were exactly, just that they and B-Shade were mates. Midnight Swoop caught him one night, and due to how Dubstar's been faring, she agreed to keep his secret to avoid getting him into trouble. But now she fears that it was a bad decision. After receiving a warning from a new clanmate that he ignored, B-Shade was cornered and killed by 2 rogues when he was alone one day. No doubt members of his mate's group. Midnight Swoop was quick to connect the dots, but was killed by them as well when she tried to confront them alone. They both died at 20 moons old. There's only one other cat who knows about all this, and they're too afraid to speak up right now. It's just awful all around, and that's not even accounting for the rest of their family. And speaking of their family, the last cat to have died this year was Pigeon Peak. And unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot to talk about with him. He was the cat who caught Drizzlegale sneaking prey while patrolling and reported it to Batspots, as he felt it was his duty to bring up any code breaks he sees. I imagine he was pretty proud of himself when Drizzlegale was punished. Though, despite his personal dedication to the code, he's begun to look at Dubstar and believe she could be acting as a better leader. She just seems way too worried about outside forces and not the, apparently, blatant disrespect of StarClan that's starting to grow in the clan. He thinks so anyways. He started trying to reconnect with Stumpton again, going on patrol with him and even encouraging him to confess to Warbler Feather. Speaking of, he doesn't seem to have any crushes or really any romantic like for anybody in the clan. And I was starting to suspect he may either be Era Ace or something under that umbrella. Unfortunately, he died before I could make any concrete observations, but just for the heck of it, he's Era Ace. Towards the end of the year, he felt like he wasn't contributing as well as he could be during Leaf Bear, so he tried to get extra prey while hunting alone. But he was caught in a snowstorm and died due to the cold at 30 moons old. His death alongside his siblings was devastating to his family, and it's safe to say that none of them are doing well, but we'll see them when we get there. And now getting started with our living cats. Dubstar is 146 moons old and still dealing with what she thinks are messages from StarClan. She keeps getting statuses involving hearing StarClan and having dreams. Perhaps even more so after attacking Weedpaw. She caught her talking with a kitty pet named Sylvia, rejecting her request to join the clan and then chasing her off. Dubstar went down on Weedpaw again and basically threatened to punish her again if she catches Weedpaw chatting with kitty pets. Again. They're weak, she says. And they don't follow StarClan, therefore they're not worth any cat's time. Now here's where I got a bit creative. Amaretto died in-game, and the game doesn't tell us how, so I thought, well, what if he was killed by the patrol of another clan, who was warned about a strange grey rogue who was wandering in the area? So, yeah. Dubstar sent Batspots to Shrub Clan to warn them about Amaretto, and he was killed when a patrol spotted him. Dubstar justified this in her head by thinking it was for the good of her clan. While patrolling with Honeystem and his apprentice, she tried to take over training for a bit, but Honeystem seemed unnerved, and kept her away from the apprentice. Dubstar isn't sure why. After Weedpaw got her warrior name, she and Dubstar chased a small dog away together, despite tensions between them still being high. Suddenly, some of her clanmates began to receive dreams from StarClan, and that's throwing her for a loop, since she believed that she was the only one who was receiving messages. It unnerves her because either StarClan is ignoring her all of a sudden, or her clanmates were lying to her, and neither option was good. She was distracted by these thoughts while patrolling one day, and Drizzlegale had to shield her from an intense snowstorm, selflessly taking the brunt of it and losing his life, while Dubstar lost 2 lives, leaving her down to 7. Speaking of which, I'm surprised she still has 7 lives. Like, she's an old lady at this point, she's gonna be living for a while after this. The next moon, she punished Honeystem for a very big code break by swiping her claws across his ear. which only added on to her growing feelings of inadequacy, especially after seeing the reaction of her clan. Her insecurity and need to be special in StarClan's eyes is weighing on her, and she's wondering if, just maybe, she's the problem. There's something wrong with her. Maybe she isn't appealing to her clan's interests and needs enough. She needs to change something to get her clan on her side again. After some thought about recent events as well as all the recent death, she made a decision. She was going to have kittens. And she consulted with someone close to her about making that happen. Needless to say, she is currently expecting, having just announced it on the final moon of the year. The clan was overall shocked due to her age and the increased risk to not only her life, but to the lives of her kids. Even so, Dubstar is very happy and proud of herself and her future children, though it's safe to say she's the only one. Onto our deputy and their mate. Batspots is now 76 moons old and Coalseeker is 78 moons old. Their year was spent mostly watching their son grow up, but they both can feel the tensions rising in the clan. Batspots decided to spend more time in the nursery with Pebble Kit after Log Days' disappearance, and I think it was her way of cherishing her time with him while he's still little. She was annoyed when Pigeon Peak told her about Drizzlegale, but she still punished him accordingly. They both watched Pebblepaw become an apprentice, and Batspots in particular believed his mentor was the right choice. Coalseeker got to see Midnight Swoop earn her name, but later grieved her at her vigil when she died. But she accepted that she can't change anything, and at least this time it wasn't her fault. They went on a family patrol with Pebblepaw a few times, and once Batspots admitted that they didn't feel like they were a good deputy, but their main son were there to reassure them. Batspots was sent by Dubstar to send a message of a dangerous rogue wandering the territories. And while Batspots didn't know exactly who Dubstar was talking about, they went without complaint, though she feels unnerved. She was on a patrol that found a young Grove clan apprentice who then joined the clan, though this soured relations between the clans. Coalseeker almost invited another kitty pet, but Golden Mallow was with her and he was adamantly against it. So, she didn't. And a bit of a spoiler alert, towards the end of the year, Log Days came back, and Batspots was among the first to welcome him home. Overall, these two are living their lives together as best as they could and are very, very proud of their son. On to the Herbalists, and oh boy, there may not be a whole lot to talk about, but things are still kinda weird. You'll see. So, Pranceclaw is 108 moons old, and Bleaksmoke is 50 moons old. And first off, Pranceclaw luckily hasn't dislocated his leg at all this year, so that's a plus. While Pranceclaw was recovering, Bleaksmoke had some help gathering herbs with Snowy Stripe and Paw, ending him having to firmly tell the apprentice to be careful handling Tansy, as ingesting it could make him sick. They've been struggling with finding herbs, it seems, after that first moon. So much so that Pranceclaw was snappy for a while and began to feel a near continuous sense of dread. He and Bleaksmoke began talking more about StarClan, and they both seem to think the warrior ancestors are trying to tell them something, though neither know exactly what. While on a patrol in the hopes of finding herbs, they came across a dead queen with her kits. They buried the queen and took the kits back to camp to be taken care of by Batspots, at least until they were weaned. Luckily, they were able to nurse them after having some borage. Pranceclaw also threw a snake out of camp when he saw it slither inside. Now, after Dubstar announced her kits, Pranceclaw is suspiciously nervous, and while Bleaksmoke is amused, knowing he has a crush on Dubstar, Pranceclaw knows it's gone deeper than that, though he isn't ready to tell her what he has done, or anyone for that matter. Oh, he's gonna get a real tongue lashing at the next half-moon mating. Now onto Cougar Lelay, who is now 80 moons and just living his best life right now. He recovered from his yellow cough from last year and got to watch his daughter get her warrior name. He never gave up on finding Paw and would send silent prayers to StarClan for her safe return. And luckily, it worked. Paw came home and he couldn't stop giving her kisses and gushing about how much she's grown, despite her protests. He still helps take care of the kits, and especially now that there are 3 in the nursery, and of course Warm Bubble can't handle them all the time. though he's feeling short on the mediator side of things, as he tried and failed to settle a shrub clan with Shrub Clan over a herb gathering dispute. This makes me think our strange lack of herbs this year was because of Shrub Clan, but that's just a guess. Overall, Cougar Lelay is just feeling content and very proud right now of his daughters. Such a proud dad. Alright, this is a bit of a strange pairing again, but let me explain. Branch Patch is now 113 moons old, and Fidget Leap is 99 moons old. And Branch Patch in particular is not having a good year. After a couple moons of healing from his wounds, he took Hawk Feathers as a partial way to show his gratitude towards Willowclan for saving him. And he got to tell Tremble Beak why he left and that he never meant to abandon her, as I talked about before with Tremble Beak's section. He was sad that she didn't want to try the relationship again, but he was just happy that she forgave him and let him meet their sons. I wouldn't say he's very close with them, but he's still glad to know them. He was, and still is, devastated at Tremble Beak's death, especially now that he just reunited with her. When he was fully healed, he was finally able to go on patrols, and he's working hard to prove himself to the clan that took care of him and his family, and give back in some way. And he seems to have found a friend and a fellow widow, Fidget Leap. Speaking of, Fidget Leap was not coping well when Law Days disappeared, but a heart-to-heart and a gift of a flower from Warm Bubble cheered her up. The two Mollies talked about their kits and how to cope with losing one. Though she almost considered leaving Willowclan, but she quickly decided against it for the sake of her grandkids as well as the many friends she had made. But then, Law Days returned home, and Fidget Leap finally told him the truth. And to her shock, he understood and embraced her as his mother, and she's so happy to finally hold her son. While these two can comfort and relate to each other due to having similar experiences, they both also have a very small mutual crush that neither are willing to admit yet. But it's a slow burn. They just need time. Personally, I'd love to see it. I'd also really like to see Fidget Leap getting together with Warm Bubble, who she also has a crush on. Now to finally talk about my boy Law Days. He's back! And he's here with Frostflick and Snowy Stripe, because Frostflick is also mates with Snowy Stripe. Let's go, Polly! Okay, first Law Days is 57 moons old, Frostflick is 55 moons old, and Snowy Stripe is 50 moons old, and things happened. So much so that Frostflick's personality shifted from adventurous to strange. Law Days spent most of the year outside of the clan with Poppypaw, protecting her and taking the lead in finding their way home. Upon returning home, Law Days was surprised to find his mate was now with Snowy Stripe, but he smiled and simply told her that he was glad that she was happy, even if it was without him. Of course, they became mates again. He was also shocked to hear Fidget Leap was his mother, but as I said before, he understood why she left him and accepted her. Frostflick spent the year recovering from losing her mate and adjusting to life without him. She took Snowy Stripe as a mate and continued on training Sandpaw, and then saw her get her full name. Her and Snowy Stripe were very cute together, training their apprentices together and going on cute dates. Snowy Stripe doesn't adopt their kids as a stepmom, but she still makes an effort to be a support to them, especially Firstpaw, whom she also watched get his full name. I'm so glad to see Snowy Stripe having a better time this year because I really felt like she was given the short end of the stick for a while. After Law Days returned, Frostflick and him went on patrol and found another abandoned kitten who was brought back to camp. Now onto the elephant in the room. Frostflick and Law Days are devastated at the loss of 3 of their kits, and Law Days feels especially guilty because he wasn't there for a large portion of their lives. It's going to be a long period of grieving for them, but they have each other, and Snowy Stripe is there to comfort them both. Moving on, I'm kind of breaking my own rules and drawing Honeystem alongside a new member of the clan rather than drawing him alone. This is Shellflame. He's currently 46 moons old, and a loner who helped Honeystem escape the too-late trap that injured his front paw. But he just got here, so let's talk about Honeystem first. He's 43 moons old and is now playful instead of loving. As I said before, he was the first between him and his brother to accept Branch Patch as his father. He never thought he'd meet him, but he's still more than happy to. He's had some trouble adjusting on his back leg after it healed, and it ended up twisted. But it doesn't seem to be an obstacle for him, even after he got his first apprentice in Pebble Paw. While training, they came across Shell one day, and while Honeystem referred to Shell as his secret friend, he still begged Pebblepaw to not tell his mom. Upon Tremble Beak's death, Honeystem sat at night all night at her vigil with Gold Mallow, taking the next few days to grieve. As I said before, he basically shielded Pebblepaw from Dubstar's influence as he got an odd feeling from the leader. He's generally very wary of her, and this went up until the end of the year when a patrol came into camp with Shell in tow, injured after being hit by a monster. He explained who he is to the clan, and while Dubstar allowed Shell to stay, giving him the warrior named Shellflame, she still harshly punished Honeystem with a tear in his ear. Honeystem is beaten down a bit, but his concern is mostly with his mate. Shellflame was just a loner, living his best life, until he met Honeystem and fell in love. He's loving and a good teacher, so I'm interested in seeing how he'd be as a mentor. He really only came to the clan for him, but now he has to recover from his injury. They're both really going through it right now, and I can only hope the best for them. And now that we went over Honeystem, let's look at his brother, who's not really approving of his, quote, problematic relationship. Gold Mallow is 43 moons old now, and unlike his brother, he was a lot more cautious about meeting his father. He's never had a dad before, so he isn't sure what to do about it. When his mother died, he was sad, but ultimately he was glad that she's in StarClan now, and most importantly with Parakeet again. He defended his patrol with a Fidgetleap and Drizzlegale from a large dog and was heavily praised for his bravery. And I'm proud of him too, actually. And like Pigeon Peak, he's actually started to notice Dubstar's decline, and he's been looking to StarClan for answers. Though, interestingly, he's not one of the cats who's been getting dreams from StarClan. Overall, he's currently not happy with Honeystem and his secret romance with a loner, so he's side-eyeing them a bit because he fears his brother is straying away from StarClan. Misguided, but well-meaning, I guess? I don't know. I'm feeling a little iffy about him right now. Now on to another new face in the clan. This is Hazytale, and she's a former rogue, who joined the clan towards the very end of the year. She's 33 moons old, grumpy, and very clever. Though she just got here, there's plenty to talk about. Because there have been some problems with rogues, and due to a couple statuses, I decided that Hazytale used to be a member of that rogue group. She came to the clan because she didn't agree with how her group handled the clans. After earning her warrior name and getting crow feathers on her tail, she's taken the clan life slowly. At one point, she approached Shade and mentioned that she knew of him and his relationship with her former group mate, and she warned him to be careful. Of course, upon his and Midnight Swoop's deaths, Hazytale felt a sense of guilt that so far prevented her from saying anything. She fears they were attacked partially because she left. And I really hope she does say something because things may get worse if she doesn't. I think her design is my favorite so far. I gave her a scar that she doesn't have in-game because I felt the rogue group had a tradition where they're marked to showcase their membership. I also like the little fur jacket I gave her. I don't know, I think it looks cool. Plus her curled tail. Moving on, Stumpton and Warbler Feather got together and they are absolutely adorable. Stumpton is 31 moons old and Warbler Feather is 30 moons old. And they got together early in the year and spent a lot of time together, patrolling and hunting. Stumpton was excited to see his father again and later found out about Fidgetleap being his grandmother, who was also his former mentor. To him, that just means they have a closer connection than they originally thought. Warbler Feather feels content being Stumpton's mate, and is fully ready to relax with him and feel safe in his presence. They took down a large dog together and had plenty of long talks. They just feel like a match made in heaven, really. Though, of course, Stumpton needs a lot of comfort right now after losing his siblings, especially his littermate. This makes Stumpton the last of his litter still in the clan, as Bepaw is still gone. It's quite jarring that while he's technically not alone, he feels a deep, lonely pit in his stomach right now. Luckily, he has his mate, his parents, and his other little siblings. Neither seem to be very concerned about the politics going on in the clan right now. They're just living their lives as young warriors. And honestly, I'm happy for them. Now we can start with our new warriors. The newly named Weed Mist is now 21 moons old, and she's literally in the same mental state she was in last year. She's not even 2 years old, and she's never caught a break. My sweet girl. She's still nervous, and is now clever rather than quick-witted. Her wound from Dubstar last year healed, but it left a scar. Pretty much just leaving a permanent reminder of the attack. Screw you, Dubstar. She continued to struggle when training after this, and it only got worse when she was harshly scolded for talking with a kitty pet. But it seems she adapted well to this new dynamic between her and Dubstar, since that's what was honored for her that's what she was honored for at her ceremony. I don't know if I should be proud of her or side-eye Dubstar for being the cause of that. She was also the last to receive her warrior name, which only made her self-esteem worse. The next moon, she caught her brother meeting another cat on the Ridge Clan border, and she immediately warned him about breaking the warrior code and, more importantly, how Dubstar would react. Like Midnight Swoop, she still chose to keep the secret, but it certainly doesn't help her anxiety. She was also worried about birds of prey later in the year, and since it's Willowclan's belief that birds are their connection to Star Clan, I think this worry is partially because of her brother's code breaking, and Dubstar definitely instilled a fear into her. Oh, you guys, I just want to hug her. Weedmiss is also very heavily affected by all the recent death, especially her siblings. So she takes more comfort from her parents like she did as a kid. Just give my girl a break, please. And onto her one of remaining brothers. Duskbillow is also 21 moons old, and he's still bloodthirsty. But he's also a masterful storyteller, which surprised me because I thought he'd be good at swimming. He was the first of the litter to earn his warrior name and was honored for his cunning. One of the first things he did was tell Pebble Kid a story, which I found cute. He isn't a fan of his mother moving on to a new maid, but he chose not to speak of his disdain. Around her, anyways. He complains to his siblings quite a bit, though. He was trapped under branches and had to be comforted by Drizzlegale, and he gained a bit of respect for the warrior he used to think of as incompetent. He was the cat who was found by Weedmist, meeting up with his Ridge Clan mate Gorge Mallow. And despite her warnings, he still continues to try seeing her. I coded Gorge Mallow as lost into the game, in case she decides to join the clan, but she hasn't yet. He caught Whitecough during Leaffall and was technically given an apprentice, but you'll see why I retcon that later in a bit. Late into Leafbear, he got frostbite on his tail and nose, and after it healed, leaving a scar, Duskbillow immediately was attacked by a fox and got his tail injured again. Lots of tail trauma for Dusk. Like the rest of his family, he's grieving his siblings and is becoming more and more angry with Dubstar and how she's leading the clan. I worry he's close to doing something dumb, and I really don't want him to act bloodthirsty in the worst way. Moving on to their brother, Fur's Talon is faring a bit better. He's still insecure, but unlike Duskbillow, he did become a good swimmer. As you can see, he definitely inherited his dad's height and fluff factor. At the beginning of the year, he learned how to handle carrying Tansy without getting sick, and he was hoping to make his clan proud despite his shortcomings. He got his warrior name Amun after Duskbillow and was honored for his tranquility, but then immediately got heat exhaustion right after and was worried about judgment from his clan. He definitely worries about what his clan thinks of him a lot, and his self-esteem seems to rely heavily on what others think. My boy. After he recovered, he went on patrol with Frostblick and they both found Ridge Clan's scent on their territory. And while Fur's Talon didn't say anything, he also caught Duskbillow's scent. He doesn't know about his brother's secret, but he's suspicious. And on the moon his siblings died, he was actually crying the least in contrast to how he was when Law Days was taken. He actually took on more of a supportive role for Weedmist and his mother. I also imagine he's more accepting of Frostblick and Snowy Stripe's relationship since he was Snowy Stripe's apprentice, and she helped him be more confident and comfortable in his own fur. At least a little bit. On to Sandpaw, who is now named Sandrip. She's now 20 moons old and absolutely having the best time of her life. She's still childish, but is now a good storyteller like her dad. But before she got her warrior name, she had to wait for her leg to heal and it left a scar. After getting back into training, she tried to show off in hunting but fumbled and a vole ran out from under her nose. Due to her leg, her warrior ceremony was delayed a moon, and due to her frustration, she ran at a trespassing rogue and helped chase them out alongside her mentor and Snowy Stripe. I feel this is interesting considering what's been going on with rogue attacks. She received her warrior name and was honored for her skill. Immediately after, she was taken by Two Legs but escaped days later wearing a collar. She got it off, but I think she was trying to find her sister now that she was able to leave camp alone. It didn't work out. She helped warn Grove Clan of a badger den on their territory and then later played a prank on Honeystem. She was bitten by a snake but survived without getting a scar. She was so excited to see her sister again and proudly showed off her new skills and her new name to her. She's just living her best life now that her sister is back really, and I'm happy for her. Also, she has a really tiny crush on First Talon. You'll see why that's interesting later. On to Pebble Kit, who is now named Pebble Falcon, and I swear there's so many bird names in this clan, it's kinda crazy. He's 16 moons old and has become wise, which surprised me considering he was apprenticed to Honeystem, who was loving and later became playful when Pebble Falcon earned his warrior name. He's also a skilled mediator, which is interesting to me. He's an overall peaceful cat. When he was apprenticed, he received red finch feathers similar to Coal Seeker's, and he and Honeystem chased off a rogue. No surprise there. He accidentally met Shellflame back when he was still a rogue, but he didn't quite understand why his mentor wanted to keep him a secret until later. He was excited to train with Dubstar that day, but Honeystem kept him away, though he didn't understand why. I think he was getting frustrated at all the apparent secrets the adults kept from him during his apprenticeship. One patrol, he got lost when he was distracted by a mouse and nearly gave Honeystem a heart attack, but he was fine. Not like there are dangerous rogues around. He earned his warrior name a moon early and was honored for his steadfastness, and went on patrol with his moms to celebrate. One patrol, they came across a Grove Clan warrior who asked about a new member of the clan and just wanted to know if they were safe. Pebble Falcon kindly told them and even offered them a place in Willowclan, but the warrior declined, still thanking the patrol. The last thing he did this year was finding Shellflame while patrolling and bringing him back to camp. Like most of the younger warriors, he isn't super invested in the politics, but he's now very aware of Dubstar's aggression towards outsiders. Now onto the final warrior of this lineup, meet Hollow Breeze. She's 14 moons old, troublesome, and a good fighter. She was born in Grove Clan, and she left when she felt unsafe and unhappy there. She met Batspots and Pebble Falcon while they were patrolling, and practically begged them to let her join. While this did sour relations with Grove Clan, Hollow Breeze was allowed to stay, and she took Gnatcatcher feathers on her tail. She technically got Dustbillow as her mentor, but I'm retconning this to say that he was simply assigned to show her the territory and show her how to handle hunting on marshland, since she got her warrior name literally the next moon. She was honored for her dedication, which I take to mean that despite being so new, she was dedicated in learning how to live as a Willowclan warrior. She decided to wear some blueberries by her ear and was later bitten by a snake, but she survived. It was probably the same snake that bit Sandrip, but I don't know. It was also her littermate, Berryjar, who asked about her at the border. She was told about that and was glad to hear her sister was okay as well. Later, she was wondering about her clanmates and hoped they didn't miss her too much. She was with Pebble Falcon when they found Shellflame, and here's where I mentioned that she has a tiny sliver of a crush on the Tom, which is kinda cute to me. Now onto the Apprentice's Den, where we only really have one. Poppypaw is still here at 20 moons old, and really she's only an apprentice in name. She's able to join patrols as a warrior and leave camp alone, but it seems Dubstar doesn't want to give her her name yet for whatever reason. She's now loyal instead of adventurous, fairly clairvoyant, and even a good storyteller like her sister and dad. This is a family of storytellers and I just love it. She returned to camp with Laud Days and was so happy to see her family again, and especially first Talon, whom she has a pretty decently sized crush on. And considering her sister also has a crush on him, this may get awkward in the future, but I really hope they don't start fighting over it. Heading into the nursery, we have Warm Bubble here watching over the 3 kits we currently have now. The 2 brothers, Shadow Kit and Jumble Kit, and then Birch Kit, who doesn't have any siblings. The kits are all abandoned as loners and are pretty much raised by the clan, though Warm Bubble and Cougar Lelay are the main ones in charge of them. Warm Bubble is 136 moons old, and she actually did retire this year, but before that she learned from Fidgetleaf about being Laudis' mother and gave her advice. She was lightly burned by a 2-leg fire that was left out, but it wasn't close enough to camp to cause damage, and she spent some time with the birds in the willow tree, and she got to know Fidgetleaf better while she was recovering. She's been spending more time with Fidgetleaf in general, sneaking into her nest after getting advice from Cougar Lelay, and they chased off another rogue together. Later, she became our first elder and was honored as a valuable member of the clan and the service she provided these past 4 years. She later dislocated her leg when she slipped on rocks, but it healed just fine. She's also very supportive of her daughter's relationship, and honestly, she just wants her to be happy. With all the recent death in the clan, Warm Bubble feels awful about all the younger cats who died, so I think that's why she takes up on taking care of the kits. Speaking of, going in order of age, Birch Kit is almost an apprentice at 5 moons old, and she was found only a moon ago, abandoned by her mother for seemingly no reason. She was found by Frostflex Patrol after crying for hours. She's noisy, but also a careful listener, so of course she's heard all across the camp at times. Then there's Jumble Kit and Shadow Kit. They're both 3 moons old, and their mother died when they were born, but they were taken in by Pranceclaw and Bleaksmoke alongside their sister. Jumble Kit is charming and confident with words, and he's definitely more troublesome than his brother. Shadow Kit is sweet and constantly climbing, and he's considered the easy one, unless he starts climbing trees and needs to be called down before he gets too high. There isn't much to say about these 3 yet, but I'm excited to see their futures. I especially love Birch Kit's design. She's so cute. And lastly, we have Burnpaw, who's only here because he aged up and I needed to draw him again. He's 21 moons old now and is still insecure, but he's now a good kit sitter. I kinda wonder how he got that. I'm really open to some theories. He hasn't done much aside from probably seeing his clanmates from afar, but he isn't sure. I do hope he's close to finding his way home though. And in case you're wondering, Bepaw is still with his 2 legs, and personally, I'm not holding on to hope for his return. I probably won't mention him again unless he does return or something big happens involving him. And that's year 4 of Willowclan. Friendly reminder that all links to the game and my social media are down below, as well as the generator I used. And I'd like to announce that I finally opened commissions, and the link for my artistry is down below as well. It's been a while since I did these, so I hope to get some orders. And since we now have a cat who's from another clan, let me know if y'all want to see the other clans. Please, I really want to introduce you guys to them. They're so fun. And I also plan to draw some pride art for some of these cats, so keep a lookout for those on the Tumblr. Take care, everybody.